Hey, welcome back to Precision Rifle Network. I'm Jeremy Collison. Today we're going to be talking about tall target testing indoors. It's been a long winter, and it's still winter, and we're quarantined inside. I've got a couple scopes that I still need to test for tracking. I'm going to show you how to do that inside, at close range. Okay, for this project I built a little tall target calibration tool. Basically what it does is it tells you, you enter your distance to target, and the amount of travel you want to test for, and then it calculates the length of the line that you need on your target. There's a mil version and an MOA version. The mil version is very simple. If you measure your distance to target in inches and then move your decimal place 2 spaces to the left, that'll tell you how tall you need to make your line. For the MOA, it's a little bit more complicated, so that's where this tool comes in handy. In our case, I'm going to be using 786 inches to my target, with a travel height of 35 MOA for the particular scope I'm testing. Unfortunately, that works out to almost exactly 8 inches. So let's build our target. Because everything is scaled down, your measurements need to be very precise. What we're going to be doing here is measuring from our shooting surface to the center of our scope and making sure that it's the same at the other end where our target is. There are a number of adjustable scope tracking bases on the market right now. And if you're doing a lot of testing, or you and your buddies want to go in on one, it's one thing. They're about $350. You know, if you're just testing one or two of your scopes, it's kind of hard to justify getting a $350 tracking base. Need a way to really stabilize that scope so that there's no movement in between clicks. I really suggest getting it off the rifle because your barrel just becomes a lever to induce movement. So this is one option I came up with. There's lots of different options. Play around with it. See what you can figure out. Okay, now that we've gotten the scope off the rifle, we can stabilize it a lot easier. And here I'm just using a pair of soft jaws in a heavy old vise. So it'll be much more stable on a rail clamped in the vise. Because here I'm creating a pivot point just on 2 sides there. Typically, if your scope doesn't parallax down far enough, which is more than likely going to be the case, for example, this scope parallaxes down to about 50 yards, I suggest using phone scope or setting up your phone on a tripod so you have a static eye position and then just watch it back later, because you can't have any eye movement involved. Everything has to be static. If you're relying on your cheek weld and your eyes moving around, any tracking error that you're going to see is going to get lost in the parallax. A lot of times too, since it only parallaxes to 50 yards, you'll have to play around adjusting the diopter and the magnification to get a sweet spot to where both the target and the reticle is in focus on your camera. I always like to hold my center crosshairs just off center so I can follow along better and it's not covering up the line. So once you get everything set, then just dial up your set amount. Now we can watch the video back and see how our tracking came out. I needed to add one more click to actually line up with my target. So in the actual MOA category, I would enter 35.25. And that'll give me the correction factor of 99%. I then enter that into your software for your correction. It works the same way with the mil version. You just enter in actual clicks. It's a little easier because you don't have to deal with 0.25 stuff. It's all just 0.2. But I'm not going to be using this to shoot real long range. It's mainly for hunting, but normally you could go back in and enter your correction factor into your software, Applied Ballistics or Geoballistics or Shooter, any of those type of apps have correction factor option in there. As long as that error is repeatable, this will be fine. If you are experiencing erratic correction factor errors, then you got problems. Well, I hope that gave you guys something to do during quarantine. Stick around for another great video from Precision Rifle Network.